Moses is the key leader in the Old Testament. He is the key leader at the center of the events of Exodus, and the Exodus is the heart of the Old Testament. It is Moses who is God's right-hand man to lead God's chosen people out of slavery and towards the wilderness and then towards the promised land. Moses is the one who teaches them how to live as God's people, bringing them the gift of Torah, then teaching them at length how to live as God's people together in the wilderness. Moses is at the center of this moment that is a great revealing of who God is and what God cares about desperately. Yet Moses does not begin leadership being seasoned and experienced. He begins as being nervous, stuttering, asking for a helper, needing a staff to hold on to, a fidget toy of an earlier century, you might call it. He just wants something to hold on to. I don't blame him. But as we read over time, he becomes a leader of wisdom, experience. He adjudicates countless decisions amongst the people. He trains up leaders to lead the tens and the fifties and the hundreds, dividing the people up. He leads the people into the wilderness where they go from being slaves who are provided food, then told what to do, to becoming, people of the wilderness who have all of the decisions in front of them that free people have, and then the weight and responsibility of living by the consequences of those decisions. And so Moses, by the time they're approaching the promised land 40 years after entering the wilderness, Moses is trusted, stable, known, dependable. And then he's gone because he dies. No leader lasts forever. And the people have to wonder, what will happen now? Joshua steps forward, and Joshua is young. He is unknown. He is inexperienced. He's not comfortable. They haven't been working with him. They don't know this man. But when he leads the people, as they go to the river Jordan, the waters part. In the same way that the waters had parted for Moses leading the people out of Egypt and into the wilderness, now the waters are parting as Joshua leads them into the promised land across the river Jordan. And so the waters part and the people follow. God had called Moses, and now God has called Joshua. There's another transition we know of in Scripture. It's the transition that happens after Jesus. Jesus, after the events of Easter, after the resurrection, he is gathering the disciples and people are gathering to listen, and he is showing them and he's teaching them, and after 40 days he ascends, and then what's going to happen? Who's going to lead after Jesus? That's the only more intimidating question you could ask than who's going to lead after Moses is who's going to lead after Jesus. And the answer in this moment is Peter. Are we sure about Peter? We weren't sure about Joshua, and we're not sure about Peter either. Peter's a little bit quick to speak. Maybe he should have keep his mouth shut a little bit longer. He's quick to deny Christ 3 times. But he's also forgiven by Christ 3 times, commissioned by Christ 3 times. And he steps up, and he does it, puts in the work. He knows that people's lives can be changed because his life has been changed. He knows that leading is going to matter greatly. He leads the church in the first board meeting of the church, you might say, the first council meeting in Acts 15, and he leads that decision that agrees that you don't have to become Jewish to follow Jesus. You just have to follow Jesus, and we'll work out the rest. It's a huge deal. It's a big deal. And it becomes the truth that Jesus says. His name is Peter, and upon this rock, the name Peter means rock, upon this rock, upon this faith, the faith of Peter, I will build my church. That's what happens. There are many such transitions in Scripture from one leader to the next. Some of them go smoothly, from Elijah to Elijah. The prophets, from the prophet Elisha, takes off his mantle, the stole, this yoke of service, and he hands it off to Elijah, and it's a smooth transition. The prophetic work continues. Other transitions, Saul, first king of Israel, to David, the second king of Israel, that is not a smooth transition. There are other transitions that we just don't know much about at all. From Paul the person who's starting churches all over the known world, to Timothy. We have the letters to Timothy, but we don't really know a lot about how that transition worked. We just know that it happened. We're thankful that it did. Upon such transitions, the church depends. We see them in Scripture, and we experience them in our lives today, and we're about to experience one here. The transition from Andy to Rob. And I have done everything in my power to make this transition a success. I continue to do everything I can. I still have a lot of work left to do to make it all go as smoothly as possible. And Rob is putting the work in too to make sure this goes as smoothly as possible. At such moments, it is fitting to reflect back, like as you go from one leader to the next, what has occurred? What do we celebrate during this time? And my friends, we have a lot to celebrate. In the 3 years I have been honored to serve in leadership at Monroe City, we have revamped the youth group to make it sustainable and to make it that it works with kids of more ages, and that's been wonderful. We've started Wednesdays Life Together, and that has been a smashing success. We've begun the Monroe City Barbecue, and we've done a lot together. I figure you can try one big thing a year. Been there 3 years. We've done a couple really big things. Very cool. All right, very proud of this, very thankful. At Shelbina, I've been at Shelbina 9 years, so the list there's a bit longer. We had more time to try things. We've had the fish fry and the corned beef and the barbecue competition and Christmas caroling and the rodeo, the trunk or treat. We've worked with youth groups. We've had story time after worship. We had the food pantry that ramped up under the events of the last years. We've had music here. We've had an obnoxious amount of trombones playing in worship, which I think is great, but I acknowledge it was a lot of trombones. I am thankful for all that has happened here. I'm thankful that the itinerant system, the Methodist way of matching the needs of churches to the skills of pastors, I'm thankful that this system brought me and my family here. There's nowhere else that Olivia and I would have rather raised our family. It is the same itinerant system that is sending us off to Laclede and Brookfield. And Olivia and I believe that God is in this, and that Rob, as he arrives, will also be blessed by being here. That as you have been a blessing to me, that he will be a blessing to him. And as if I have been a blessing to you, he will also be a blessing to you in a similar way. Now, in such a moment, you might be wondering, is this new guy going to be a good fit? How's this going to work? How's this going to unfold? Is this going to work out for us? I don't blame you, because it's a time of uncertainty. Let me share with you how I understand this, though, and I think this has helped me. This was a realization that one of those moments that changed my life, really. While I was in seminary, I wasn't sure what I was going to do after seminary. I had this mental image that, because I had this mental image that, like, being a pastor was this, like, round hole. I had to squeeze down to fit into this, because I'm kind of like a jagged little square of something, and I needed to take this jagged little something and squeeze it down to fit in this round hole. If I was the peg to fit in that hole, I needed to get sanded down and constrained and refined. And frankly, I don't know how well that was going to work. I don't fit a lot of the expectations around being a pastor. I'm a touch blunt, and I have an odd fascination with knives. And how's this going to work? The realization was, it is not that I'm a jagged thing trying to squeeze down to be polished into a nice round hole. It's that I'm a jagged thing, and that the hole I'm trying to fit into is far bigger than I am. I didn't need to get rounded and polished down. I needed to grow and get bigger and deeper and wider in my faith, in my understanding, and that this task was going to be far bigger than I ever could do by myself. So I was not trying to squeeze down into a round hole to fit expectations that I did not fully understand, that I needed to grow, become the person God calls me to be, and that I need your help to get into this hole called ministry and to fill it up, and that together we can do this. I think Rob's the exact same. He's going to jump into this hole. He's not going to be the same fit that I was. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Might be a really good thing. but he will be able to fill this hole, this need in all of our lives and in this community. He'll be able to fill this hole with you as we all seek to be growing in grace, to becoming the people that God calls us to be. For I am firmly convinced that God gives the gifts to the church that we need to fulfill the calling that God places on us for that church. Methodically, day by day, by the grace of God, we are growing into the saints that God calls us to be. And it's been my honor and privilege to spend time growing here with you. Now, in worship on Sunday, have some announcements, prayer, communion, and then here are my last thoughts here. Right? Last thoughts for the charge. I'll share it here. Not so much the sermon, just a comment. Bishop Schnase, one of the previous bishops of the Methodist Church in Missouri, once remarked that there was no good time to move a good pastor, for they were always doing something and trying something and innovating on something. And while I make no claim to be a good pastor, I will claim that what we have had here is a good thing. And there was never going to be a good time for me to move, because we've been up to new things and trying things and excelling and growing and failing, but failing forward and learning. We've been up to this all along the way. There was never going to be a good time, yet here it is time. And so here is my hope for you, the churches that I've served. Monroe City, you have figured out Wednesdays. I hope you keep on doing it. I hope the Monroe City Barbecue continues to grow. I hope that in the years to come, you're able to find a way to serve in the community in a way that makes a difference. And that might start by just taking batches of pop ice to every community event and giving it away, to start just interacting with people. And I don't know if it's going to be, I don't even begin to know how to serve in Monroe City. That was my next task. I wish I could stay here and finish it. I leave you to finish it, to work on that with Rob, and I'll be excited to see what you figure out, how to serve. For Shelbina, you know how to serve. You know how to be good news to your community. You know how to work with youth. What Shelbina, the thing that I'm praying for and hoping for with Shelbina is the time together. Shelbina, I hope you're able to find a way to gather on a weekly basis for multiple months during the year, whether fall and spring or whatever it works out to be. Wednesday nights, Sunday nights, something so that people of all ages can get together and spend time being a blessing to each other. I wish I could stay and do that with you. I'm envious that Rob will. That's the future, I hope, for both churches. Both of you have something really important, have multiple things really important figured out. Both of you have one or two things to work on. And what I can say is that I have given you the best that I can while I have been here. For the ways that what I have done has been in line with God's desires, and the ways what I've done has been a blessing, it has been my honor. For the ways that I have failed you, and let us not pretend that I haven't, I am sorry. And if there are apologies I have not offered, know that it is through ignorance on my part, not through ill will or intent. It has been an honor to serve as your pastor. This will be my last time doing so. And so soon, Rob will be here. He will be a stranger to you, but no more than I was 3 years ago at Monroe City or 9 years ago at Shelbina. I can only ask that you give him the same chance that you gave me. And please know that my prayers, my hopes are with you, and that I will be your biggest cheerleader as I watch and I look forward to seeing what you and Rob do together for the glory of God.